Did you know a single postcard may have stopped the world from descending into complete chaos? Let me take you back to 1905, to an era of building tensions between two rising powers, Great Britain and Germany. At this time, Europe was a tinderbox. Nationalism, alliances, and militarization were steadily laying the groundwork for what would erupt into World War I a decade later. But something extraordinary happened that may have delayed the inevitable: a mere postcard. Yes, a simple illustrated postcard featuring a caricatured map of Europe known as the Black Spot. Some call it an oddity, others a masterpiece of geopolitical foresight. But one thing is clear: the story behind it is stranger and more impactful than you'd ever imagine. In 1904, tensions between Britain and Germany had escalated significantly. Territorial ambitions, economic rivalry, and arms buildups were brewing storms between the two powers. Both countries were racing to increase their naval fleets, each perceiving any increase in the other's maritime strength as a direct threat. But this wasn't just a political Cold War, it was culturally propagated too. Anti-German sentiment in Britain fed into propaganda materials, including posters, news articles, and, curiously enough, postcards. And that is precisely where our fascinating artifact of history enters the narrative. The postcard in question wasn't an average romantic scenic card. It was a sharp, tongue-in-cheek critique of German militarism, showing a map with territories painted black, symbolizing areas under German influence or believed to be targets of German expansion. This clever illustration wasn't isolated. It reflected the collective anxiety in Europe at the time. However, what makes it so historically significant is how this seemingly trivial piece of stationery found its way into the communication channels between people of influence in both countries. In December 1904, copies of this postcard reached the hands of Kaiser Wilhelm II, leader of Germany himself. Thought to have been mailed anonymously, the postcard caused a disproportionate uproar. Why? Well, the Kaiser wasn't known for his patience or diplomatic finesse. What he saw in the exaggerated blackened map was not satire, but a direct attack. He interpreted it as evidence of British aggression toward Germany, pushing him closer to a preemptive strike against Britain. Here's where this story takes an unexpected turn. News of the Kaiser's reaction filtered back to Britain and worried several key officials, including King Edward VII. Secret diplomatic efforts were quickly put into motion to avoid an international incident. A series of covert meetings and correspondences attempted to repair the fragile relations between the two nations. Some even speculate that this wave of reassurances and convinces tempered tensions enough to delay the inevitable escalation. By January 1905, British diplomats succeeded in easing the Kaiser's paranoia, albeit temporarily. This fragile peace strengthened alliances like the Entente Cordiale between Britain and France as an indirect reaction to German consternation. Thus, the postcard didn't just prevent an immediate conflict, it catalyzed action that would go on to determine how alliances in Europe solidified. Was the war eventually delayed by this small artifact of satire? Historians remain divided, but the story reminds us of the power contained in seemingly trivial gestures. Could a simple piece of paper have saved thousands of lives by holding the hands of history at bay, even for a moment? It's worth pondering the next time you hold one of those unassuming little rectangles of cardstock and ink. So yes, a postcard stopped, or at least delayed, a war. And that's a piece of history that future generations need to hear. Share this to keep the legacy of this fascinating story alive.